There was a time when Mola Nasruddin had to take a job on the assembly line of a factory. But during that time, he went on holidays for 2 weeks. And when he came back, the boss of the factory called him in and said, "Mola, you can't do that. You cannot just take 2 weeks off and go on holidays without asking permission." And the Mola said, "But boss, I came into the office to ask you and you weren't there. But I saw the sign on your desk which said, 'Do it now.' So I did." We've been exploring the question, what is life's relationship to us when, metaphorically speaking, we're like an onion that's been peeled, our karma burned and our conditioning stripped away and our belief systems dropped. And there's a story about a great and saintly man who was a wandering mendicant. He travelled from place to place and people loved him and revered him. And when they gave him food and alms, he would give them comfort and advice. One day he was sitting in the shade of a large tree when a simple man came by, and after exchanging greetings, the old sage invited the simple man to sit down beside him. And the old man invited him to share the dates that he was eating. And after this, the simple man said to the saintly man, "I have no family and no friends. I'm a nobody. Can I travel with you?" The saintly man said, "I have nothing to offer you, but you may stay with me and travel with me as long as you will." And for some time they travelled very comfortably together. And because the saintly man was revered, when he was given food, the simple man was also given food and alms. But one day the simple man came to the saintly man and he said, "Master, here is a piece of fine wood. I know that you love to whittle with your very sharp knife, and perhaps you can fashion something out of this." And so it was. They continued their travels. And sometimes the simple man would say to the saintly man, "Master, what are you whittling with that piece of wood?" Because it was seen to be becoming smaller and smaller. The saintly man replied, "Do not ask me this question. Something will be suggested." And so they travelled on, and sometimes in the coffee shops, others would ask the saintly man, "What are you whittling?" And he would give the same answer. Something will be suggested. And then one day, when they were sitting in a coffee shop outside on the roadside, and again the fine piece of wood was now in the beautiful shape just about the size of a walnut, very finely whittled. And just then a woman came by, carrying a heavy basket of fruit on her head, but on her back was a child in very, very great distress, wailing and screaming, causing the woman herself to be in a state of great agitation, tears flowing down her face. But as she was passing, the saintly man said, "Stop, sister, I have something that might help you." And he took the piece of wood that was the shape of a walnut, and he popped it into the child's mouth. The child immediately stopped weeping and was quiet, sucking away contentedly on the piece of wood. As the woman went off down the road, the saintly man turned to the simple man. "You see, without my knowing, I was whittling a child's comforter." What is life's relationship with us now? For the most part, the karma burned, played out, the conditioning stripped away, painfully oftentimes, and our belief systems, even the highest, dropped from us. The onion peeled. What is life's relationship to the place where the onion was? What does this story tell us in our endeavor to answer this question? Unbeknownst to me, I was whittling a child's comforter. What's the meaning of this story for us?
So just keep whittling away until you need to give someone comfort.
Right.
So it is whittle till you're ready, or that it's put in front of you to help. Whatever it is.
What translated is this whittling?
It's whatever we are confronted with that we're doing with our lives.
Yes.
Sometimes, for me, I'll just spontaneously do something that I wasn't planning to do, but that's more the way that things tend to happen now. And I meet someone, or someone says something that is meaningful in terms of something else that's happening. It just kind of comes about.
Absolutely so.
Every moment, every reaction is kind of in the purest form because it's not mind constructed. Because the whittling, everything's been whittled away. Kind of.
Yes, and symbolically, if it's construed that we're whittling all the time, what does this whittling represent for us that's here for us as a constant in our life now? A constant. What does the whittling mean?
Attention and focus.
Yes,
Getting out of the mind.
absolute attention and presence, isn't it? Presence. Being totally present, 100% present and alert every moment. Could it be that that's what the whittling is? Always attentive to that, always ensuring that we're 100% present and in presence. Is that what it perhaps can be translated as? And from that, as Annabelle is saying, arises, or as you say, arises the response to what life brings in for us. Could it be so?
Yes.